Hello, today I'm going to be answering your questions about what are the most important supplements that can support me in recovering from multiple sclerosis or some other type of chronic disease. And I want to keep the topic today as simple and as cost-effective as possible because it can be very, very confusing and it can be very, very expensive when you're talking about supplements. So if we haven't met yet, my name is Pam Bartha and I'm the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. And I am very happy to spend this time with you because many of you have been asking me, especially last week, about what are the best supplements that I should be taking in helping me to recover from chronic disease. Many of you have multiple sclerosis. So I'm just going to say hello to a few people here. So hello, Kia and Danielle, you've joined, and a few others too. So this topic is super confusing and it can be really expensive. Sometimes we read about certain supplements that sound really good, they can really help us, and we buy them. And then other times we're going to integrative healthcare professionals and they will recommend 10 to 15 different supplements. I have been on this journey for 29 years. The reason that I have some insights is that I have been MS-free for the past 29 years, and thank you so much for the love, and please interact with me because it's so nice. Give me your questions. I'm here to answer your questions. So type your questions in the feed. I'll get to them in a few minutes. But please share and like this if you know of any other people that are really frustrated with supplements. So how many of you have a cupboard that has many different bottles of supplements and maybe the bottles are half empty and you have stopped taking them for a while? Some of the supplements you're not really sure why you bought them in the first place. Yes, and I can relate to that because I did that for many years too. Because we're searching and we're searching for that magic bullet, for that supplement that's going to really help us recover. So it's important to understand that I'm going to talk today about nutritional supplements and binders and digestive aids. And I have talked about things to help promote bowel movement. So supplements for bowel movement, go back to my constipation resource or video, and you can learn all about that there. So I'm not going to talk about that today. But today it's going to be about nutritional supplements, so vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, essential fatty acids, and please type your questions in the question box and I'll get to them later. And then also what binders are and why they are helpful. And sometimes we can benefit from taking digestive aids. So I'm going to keep it to that. Then there are other supplements that we could support our adrenals and our thyroid. I'm not going to talk about those in great detail today because those are kind of bigger topics for another day. So why do we even need to take supplements? What is the reason, right? Like, why can't we get our nutrition from food? Well, there are many reasons. Number one, many of us have not been eating whole food. We've been eating a lot of processed food where it is very devoid of nutrition. Number two, the produce that we're buying for most of the year, it is grown in these large farms and they're carrying out these farming type practices. So factory farming type practices. Please go to another video that I have, and that would be, I think it was a few months ago, and it's Demystifying the Mystery of Supplements. And I talk a lot about our food, etc. And I've also written a book, Become a Wellness Champion. And I go into research showing that a lot of our food, the vegetables that we're eating, there's up to a 40% decline in nutrition. So our food isn't the same, we're not eating the right foods, and then also we have a lot of infection when we're dealing with chronic disease, and that's what I teach you. If you've been watching and following me, is that we're really out of balance in different parts of our body with respect to the microbes, but especially our intestines. And so when we have the wrong infections, we have these big parasitic worms, we have tiny parasites, we've got fungus, we've got bacterial infections. When we're really out of balance, it's called dysbiosis. And those microbes, they cause a lot of inflammation inside of us. They cause a lot of leaky gut. They cause a lot of mucus. So we're not digesting our food very well. We're not absorbing our nutrition. So that's another reason why we need to supplement with food form nutrition. Not mega doses, right? Food form nutrition. So we want to get as much as we can from our diet, from our eating plan, and then there is benefit in adding in some food form vitamins and minerals, etc. So we have these infections that cause inflammation and they make it difficult for us to digest, they also compete with us. They love different types of nutrients. So they love glyconutrients, they love B vitamins, they love iron. There's a lot of nutrition that they're stealing from us. So we're eating the food and they're freeloaders. So it's interesting that as you start to correct the gut, then you absorb more of your nutrition and it's easier. Some of you have a hard time putting weight on too, so that will be easier also. So that's why we need to take nutritional supplements for many reasons. In the summer, when I have vine-ripened local produce here, I don't need to take as much. I still take a little bit, but I don't take near as much. But in the fall, like late fall, winter, and spring, when I have to rely on these large commercial farms around the world that massively produce, you know, crop after crop after crop, and they're using synthetic fertilizers and this produce is picked green, I do supplement with plant-sourced vitamins and minerals, and that's a big key. So when I first started down this journey, the supplements that were available, this is like 29 years ago, was completely synthetic, meaning that a lot of the vitamins come from coal tar and petroleum, and then also the different minerals would come from rock, chalk, or limestone, and that was a traditional vitamin mineral supplement, and that is still pretty standard in even in health food stores and also in the drug stores and in Costco, etc. How can you tell? Well, if you look at the back of the label and you read it, you'll see that it'll say vitamin C, and there's either nothing behind it or else there will be ascorbic acid or chemical names. That's synthetic. And if it's from a plant source, it's kind of tricky because sometimes they'll list the vitamins and then there's nothing behind it. And then to the right of it, you'll see this big list of vegetables and fruit, etc. And you think, oh, well, that's where it's all coming from. But that's not necessarily the case. And in my program, it's called the Live Disease-Free Academy, I teach people how to read labels. So I'm going to give you some little pointers here, but it does take a little bit of skill. And it's really important because why would we want to buy supplements that are made out of coal tar and petroleum? Your body doesn't like it. It ends up down in the toilet as expensive urine, you know, the pee that turns bright yellow. So what you want to do is you want to find, and this is where it's really tricky because there's a lot of, I would say, not good practices with respect to labeling, because they are saying, you know, from the farm right to your table, or, you know, made with organic and added vegetables and etc. But what is the source, right? So they could add a bunch of vegetables and fruit in and other superfoods, but they have been super processed and you don't know what's in them. You don't know if there's any nutrition in them at all. And what's on the label, either number one, it's a ferment where they take synthetic and they will put it in a brew of bacteria and yeast, and then they will ferment it and they will hope that it all turns, the yeast and bacteria turns it all over to organic, which means not organic without pesticides. It means organic that the plant has converted it into a food form. But really what you're looking for is that, check at the very bottom too, because sometimes they'll list all the synthetic names at the very bottom where it says other ingredients, and that's pretty tricky. So what you want to see is you want to find a supplement where they list vitamin A, vitamin C, all the B vitamins and minerals, and they list plants behind them, because the plants are right behind them. So it could say vitamin C is from Australian bush plum and vitamin A is from whatever type of plant. I know that the mustard seed plant is a nutrient hog, so a lot of times they'll use the mustard plant. And there's all kinds of different plants that are higher in certain nutrients. So the nice thing is when you read the back of the label, and if it tells you there's this much vitamin A in it, there's this much vitamin C, and it's coming from plants, then you know that it is plant sourced, and you actually know how much nutrition you're getting. And we're not relying solely on those supplements. They're just filling in the gaps of what's missing from our diet. That's the bottom line. So why would we want to do that? Because that is the fuel that our body needs to run optimally and for our immune system to run optimally. So when we have that, we heal faster and we detox less. All right, that's really important because all of us want to heal faster and detox less. So we optimize as much nutrition as we can with the eating plan, Organic is always best. We can't always afford all organic, or we may not have all access to all organic. So what we do is we buy as much organic as we can. We try to buy local as much as we can and get those servings of vegetables as you tolerate it, as you're, make sure to listen to your gut. And if you have irritable bowel, you can't do that many vegetables, but we work our way up, especially as the gut heals, to at least 9 to 13 servings of vegetables a day. That's the key to my success. Platefuls of vegetables, moderate protein, lots of healthy fat, a little bit of nuts and seeds, very limited fruit. And this is in the recovery phase, right? We're greatly reducing the food to those microbes. And I share a lot more of this on other videos. Make sure to go on to our Facebook replays, Live Disease Free, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Live Disease Free. There's a ton of different videos. When you subscribe, then you're going to hear about my free trainings. Okay, so back to the supplements. So with respect to the supplements, nutritional supplements, getting in the vitamins and the minerals and the essential fatty acids and antioxidants, and something that a lot of people haven't heard of are phytosterols, which are food components that help to build healthy hormones. So our body is genetically programmed. It knows how to operate. It knows how to make the right amount of hormones. But because of all those other factors, we become deficient. So when you bring that back in, it just feeds your body. So that's what we're doing, is we're feeding your body. So I don't believe in high doses of mega vitamins. And I don't believe in IV, like when you're taking IV, not antibiotics, when you're doing IV vitamins, because you're taking in high doses of synthetic. And there are a lot of studies, some of my old videos show that they've done, these big bulk studies of pulling a lot of studies together, meta-analysis. And they're finding that if you take a lot of synthetic, and it's not really nutrition, but vitamins, etc., that it can actually increase your risk of death, and it actually will be harmful to your health. So I don't believe in high doses of vitamins and minerals. I believe in just bringing in enough for your food for your body to be able to feed itself, to get strong, to help in the fight, to help in the recovery. That's what I believe. All right. And then, so with respect to these vitamins also, that would be, as I mentioned, vitamins, minerals, if you want to write those down. Vitamins and minerals and antioxidants are really helpful. And there are essential fatty acids, so especially the omega-3. And then also, what else am I missing? The phytosterols, which are like they're not hormones. I personally do not believe in taking hormones, because I want my body to make the right amount of hormones. I know that when we take synthetic hormones or even bioidentical hormones that are more than what we should, it changes our body chemistry in ways that we don't understand, and it can actually promote these infections, and that's what I've seen. So keep it as cost effective and simple. And what I wanted to share too is that when we take high doses of synthetic vitamins, or even just massive amounts of vitamins, it will feed the infections, and we don't need to do that. Like high amounts of iron and high amounts of the B vitamins. There are different microbes that really benefit. So yeast and others will benefit from iron, but then also the B vitamins, it can be Lyme disease, etc. So we just want to be supporting the body. And yes, those infections are going to take a little bit from us, but we're just taking in plant source. We don't need the amounts, the huge amounts. And I have noticed that it really does make a difference in recovery. All right, so that is the why we need to take it, which ones we need to take. Now I'm going to talk about the binders. What are binders and why do we need them? So when we're loaded with these infections and we've got the foggy head, we've got the anxiety, we've got the depression, we've got severe fatigue, maybe we feel like we're having panic attacks, we've got this disability issues going on, lots of symptoms in our body. So these infections produce a lot of, well, they don't produce the inflammation, but it's our immune system fighting the infections, causes all the inflammation. But these infections produce a lot of toxins in our body. So when we have a ton of toxins, our liver is trying to keep up with, removing them, and our kidneys, etc. So we're just helping the body. And it can be really simple. So it can be as simple as just taking activated charcoal. And you can get that in a drugstore, you can get that in a health food store, And a person should actually have a bottle of activated charcoal capsules in their home anyhow, because if you ever have food poisoning, it's a really great thing to take every couple of hours. So again, as I mentioned on all my calls, that everything I'm sharing is for educational purposes only, and I am not replacing the necessary measures of your healthcare provider. So I'm just teaching you what I do, what a lot of students have used to help in their recovery. All right, so if you have any type of medical condition or you're on meds, you make sure to check with whoever you're working with, your medically trained or your integrative health care provider. So the binder, like activated charcoal or bentonite clay, you don't have to do both of them, but one or the other, they're really good at absorbing the poisons in your intestines so that it decreases the burden of toxicity on you, but you have to make sure that you are eliminating it. You have to make sure you're having bowel movements every day. So you want them to be sucked up and then to be taken out. So make sure to watch my video on constipation to learn more about how to resolve constipation permanently, not just temporarily, not just live with it, but how to resolve it permanently. So the binders are really helpful in recovery because as we decrease the burden of toxins inside of us, it gives our body a little bit of a relief so that it can actually focus more on, helping us. It has more energy to help us in the recovery. So those are your basic vitamins and minerals. And with respect to the nutritional supplements, the vitamins, minerals, etc., do what you can afford, right? It's not going to be make it or break it. And if you've been working with an integrative healthcare provider, and I do love them, but I know that there are a lot of different ideas and theories out there with the mitochondrial dysfunction that we should be taking all these supplements to support it, or maybe methylation defects. Sure, if you need to methylate your B vitamins, fine. If you find that's, but then you're also probably taking synthetics. So you have to be careful because if you're taking a ton of B vitamins, you could be feeding the Lyme or other microbes. So just keep it really simple. And that is so important because that's not what's going to be the make or break it. What's really going to be the make or break it is stop feeding the infections and make sure to support the body in many ways for recovery. And I teach all of that in the Live Disease Free Academy. And I've got tons of videos on YouTube and Facebook. Go back and watch some of my videos. So don't feed the infections so much. Support the body in many different ways. This is one of the ways we do it, is optimizing nutrition through our eating plan and through just some basic supplements. And then we want to treat the infections. And as you treat the infections, that's where you really notice the changes in your symptoms. So if you're strapped for cash, don't spend a whole bunch of money on different types of single supplements that I've heard this is good, and I've heard this is good, and I've heard this is good, because in the long run, you've probably noticed that you haven't really noticed a big difference when you're taking it. And that is because you're so loaded with infection. That's what's causing most of your symptoms, all right? Next week, I'm gonna be sharing more pictures with you. I just want to really drill this home. This is so big and so huge, understanding that multiple sclerosis is caused by infection. I still, to this day, I'm talking to people every day, and they're like, you're the first person who's told me that MS is caused and chronic disease, the biggest cause is infection. And it is such a shame that we don't know this yet, because I just talked to one of the students that graduated from the Live Disease Free Academy today, and I'm going to be putting her success up on our website. But she is like, I can run again. And she shared at the end, thank you for saving my life. And I didn't save her life. I believe that this information, I've pulled it together from many hero doctors, and she implemented, just like many of you that are on the call right now, you're wellness champions and you're really good implementers. So I'm going to go to the questions. And before I finish, I just want to talk about digestive aids, because when we have these infections, we have all this inflammation, and we're not releasing enzymes as well. And I heard that there's some research that some of these microbes can actually cause our hydrochloric acid in our stomach to be lower. I need to find that research first. And if you guys have seen it, please send it to me. But I haven't looked at that. There's a lot of things I'm studying all the time. But it is true too also that as we get older, we have less hydrochloric acid in our stomach. And if we have less, and that's HCl, the acid, then lots of things can go wrong. So when we find that our digestion isn't very good, even if we're following the really good Live Disease-Free Eating Plan, then we can bring in a little bit of HCl, so it's betaine HCl, and enzymes, so that could be enzymes that help us digest our fats and our proteins and our carbohydrates. So it's a blend. Sometimes you can find it all together in a health food store. Sometimes you get the HCl separate, betaine separate from the digestive enzymes. And you could be tested by an integrative healthcare provider, and you could go to their office and they can, I think they can test you for your stomach acid. Or you can just buy it and just start taking a little bit and increasing it until you're like, wow, I feel a little bit better. I know that this is something that's been talked about for years and years, but it's still not going to be make or break it for you, because I've tried adding in HCl and taking it out, and maybe it helps me a little bit, but I haven't really had any life-changing experiences. Really, the biggest thing is I have noticed, even after years and years of taking supplements, before I knew all of this, I took, you know, I didn't really believe in synthetics, so I bought superfoods. Like, this was years ago, before we had plant-sourced vitamins. And then I started to switch to the plant-sourced vitamins and minerals, like just basic supplements. And I noticed an improvement. I would have to say, for me, I didn't have the MS symptoms anymore, but it's just a stronger feeling in your core, just a greater sense of well-being. So if I noticed that after all these years of living this way, then it is definitely helpful. And as people have shared with me too, it's really the people that implement everything that notice that they improve the quickest. I really like glyconutrients because they are something that people just don't know about, and they support cellular communication every time two cells talk to each other in the body. So it's food, and it just supports communication, and we do become deficient in it because a lot of yeast, for example, loves some of the glyconutrients. So when you bring it back in, it just really supports everything, your brain function, your metabolism, your hormones, but especially your immune system. So, all right, so I think I've talked about everything there. So I'm just gonna go to your questions and see if you guys have any questions for me. Oh, and if you are looking for a good plant-sourced nutritional supplement, I have not found a lot yet, and I am looking. There is, by the Garden of Life, it's called My Kind. That's the only one by the Garden of Life that I found that is plant-sourced, so it's called My Kind. The ones I've been using for 18 years now is the Manatech products, M-A-N-N-A-T-E-C-H, the Manatech supplements. I do have them on my website, so you can go there and you can read up on them, look at them, and you can order them yourself. You can do it as simply as getting their multivitamin is Phytomatrix, right? And that would be about the same as the My Kind. What I like is they don't have as many fillers. They have a little bit of glyconutrients in all their products. So I just have, like, there is no supplement that will replace food, for sure. But those are the only two that I would recommend at this time. So they're the glyconutrients. So if you go on to livediseasefree.com, my website, you can go underneath, I don't know if it's shop or products, click on that, go down, and you'll see the plant-sourced nutritional supplements. There's a little video you can listen to learn more about the difference, because I go into a little bit more detail. And then you can just kind of peruse. There's other things I like there, like they have Emperzone, which is an aloe vera gel, which I lather on my face all the time at night, and it's great for sunburns. I know we're getting to the end of summer, but it's great for kids with acne and any type of insect bite. So they've got some really nice things. And you can just pick if you go on that page, you'll notice that there's I don't know what flag, maybe it'll pick up where you're from, but you can change the flag to your country, and there's different products there. So just do basic, just get some vitamins and minerals, focus on all the other steps, and if you want to find them, you'll find them there. All right, so I'm going to go to your questions now. Hello, Susan. Do you recommend anyone any more than the powder from Manatech capsules do? So the thing with the capsules is that they're not as concentrated. So I think you would have to take something like 12 capsules to get 1 teaspoon of ambertose complex. That's the only one I like, is the complex. The other ones, the advanced, they're more immune stimulating, and the complex is immune modulating, and that's what we want. So Susan, I would stick with the powder because it is a bigger bang for your buck. Sure, you can get the bottle of capsules, but you're not getting very much. So when you take a couple of capsules, you might be getting like 1/8 of a teaspoon instead of a whole teaspoon. What I found is that, you know, do whatever you can afford. If you can't afford it, don't do that right now. It's not going to make or break it as far as the glyconutrients. But what we found is that, and what I like to do is just take a tub a month. So that's about 2 teaspoons a day. That's what I like to take. And I have done that for, like I said, 18 years now. So if I've taken it for that long, there's a reason for it. It's really awesome. So Susan, your mom has just ordered the Manatech powder. Please make sure it's not the advanced, all right? So that's the nice thing on my website is that I've pushed out the products that I don't like. I don't like all of their products. I do not like their weight loss. I don't believe in shakes. I think that eat real food, that's super important. But you'll see that it's just the ambertose complex there. So please don't take the advanced because it might be more immune stimulating and you don't want that when you're dealing with chronic disease. And hello, Joseph, you're so welcome. Can I reintroduce peanut butter? That's the only food I really miss. So when we're in recovery, so if you're in recovery, then you want to avoid peanuts because peanuts are, actually they're not a nut, they're a legume. And they tend to have a much higher mold count. So in the early days, like 30 years ago when I got those first books by the pioneer hero doctors that were helping people recover from multiple sclerosis and all chronic disease, the key was omit all peanuts. So because of the higher mold count. And we know that with chronic disease, fungus is a really big part. So fungus and mold is all the same kingdom, part of all the same group. So for sure, omit peanut butter. Yes, I know a really nice peanut butter would be great, like one that is natural, but don't do it right now because it's going to hinder your recovery. But once you're well for a long period of time, you can introduce something like that and see how you do. And it really depends how well you have treated the infections. Hello, Catherine. What about supplements for helping me with leaky gut like Restore? And what about kombucha drinks? So Restore, you can go ahead and try it. It's a good product. Some of my students, a small percentage, have noticed a difference, but most of my students haven't. I tried it and I didn't notice a difference. So if you're somebody who has been eating a lot of gluten and wheat and you're getting a lot of glyphosate, for example, or let's say you're having sugar, because glyphosate is the active ingredient for Roundup. It's everywhere. They're spraying it on all the GMO crops, so the soya, the corn, the sugar beets. So we're getting a residue of glyphosate all over the place. There's hundreds of thousands of pounds every year sprayed in our environment. And they're finding that this glyphosate, they used to tell us that it was safe, and it's not safe. And it really breaks apart, it destroys the integrity of the intestinal lining. So it does help promote leaky gut. But also remember that leaky gut is also caused, a large amount of it is caused by the infections in your gut. So if you are taking Restore, you can try it. It's like a $39 bottle or something like that, or $29, $39 bottle. It's like brown water, and you can try that, but it may or may not do anything for you, but it's not the biggest waste of money, right? It's not like doing a stem cell therapy where you're spending 20 or CCSVI. So if you want to try it, it's fine. And then as far as kombucha, we avoid all fermented foods except raw sauerkraut. Okay, and the reason being is that there tends to be, like with kombucha, it is a sugar ferment. So they're taking tea with sugar and they're adding in different microbes. And so when you do a sugar ferment, you have the possibility of more alcohol. You also have caffeine, which we're avoiding in recovery. It's very important. And then there can also be some different strains of fungus in there, some different candida. And we're seeing that even with kimchi, etc. So we're keeping it as simple as possible, and you have to really listen to how you feel. So even with the raw sauerkraut, some people have to go slowly. Homemade is always the best, but we're finding different raw sauerkrauts in different places that will be helpful. The thing with the raw sauerkraut, when you buy it, the difference is when you do your homemade version, you can just do a wild ferment. So then you're getting more of a range of microbes, and which I believe in the long run can be healthier. When you're purchasing it, sometimes they'll use cultures, and then they might have 1 or 2 strains that take over, and you don't really know that. I guess you could contact the company and ask them, but it would be nicer to be, we want to introduce diversity. We want to have that healthy ecosystem. And as we're treating the infections, we do want to build back up. But just pay attention to how you feel, because if you have a lot of infection going on and you bring in a lot of the good guys through the raw sauerkraut, it may not feel that great at the beginning. So then don't go so fast. Maybe start with a teaspoon and see how you do it. But we see that the raw sauerkraut is tolerated really well. Probiotic supplements, on the other hand, are not always tolerated really well, especially if they have a lot of prebiotics, because the prebiotics are food for the good guys. No, they're food for the good guys. So when you buy a prebiotic capsule, it's got a whole bunch of, could be 10, 20, 100 billion microbes in a capsule, or 90 billion, whatever. But sometimes they add food for the little good guys in there, but that food will also benefit the infections that are making you sick. So that's why we would be really careful with how you feel when you're taking probiotic supplements. I personally have taken them years. If somebody said, take 2 of our capsules, I would do 6. And I really never noticed a difference. I personally don't believe in them. That's another topic for another day, but they're just not the same as what you would get from fermented foods. All right, hopefully that answered. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Deborah. Hi, Judy. You are so welcome, Judy. Deborah, Catherine, hello. Hello, Carol. Hi, Gail and Joseph. Misty, you shared this video with your Facebook group. Thank you so much, because it doesn't matter if it's scleroderma. What it means is that we're all dealing with different types of infections. So we all have fungus. When we're dealing with chronic disease, we all have fungal overgrowth in our body. We all have parasites. We all have different bacterial infections, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of species. So it's kind of like which microbes are infecting us, where do they like to live, and as we treat them, then we can recover from all chronic disease, whether it's cancer, whether it's autoimmune disease, whether it's heart disease. So that is the honest truth. And that's what I teach, and I share a lot of research about that. Hello, Debbie. Antoinette, hello, beautiful name. Chantel, and hi, Rami, and Yolanda. All right, so please just give me the name of what you take. So what I like to take, and you don't have to take this, but I get there's a support pack combo, you'll notice on my website. So there's a tub of Ambertose. I should have had it right beside me, but if I don't want to leave you here. But it's just like a little tub of Ambertose, and it's a box of support packs. So it kind of gives you everything. It's the antioxidants, the phytosterol, so for happy, the plus, the white tablets inside, they're called plus, and that is, it's called the happy pill. So it really just gives you, and there's no caffeine or anything in it, but it just gives you energy, and it makes you to be able to help to build healthy hormones. And then the vitamins and minerals, and then the glyconutrients come from the tub. So it's called the Ambertose Support Pack Combo. That's what I do. If you're on a tight budget, just start with a multivitamin. Do the Phytomatrix or do the My Kind multivitamin. Just start with something just to fill in the gaps, right? But just make sure you're implementing everything else that I teach. So that's what I take, and I've taken it for a long time. And as far as essential fatty acids, I don't always remember to take it. In the summertime, I'm not doing 2 packs of the support packs a day, because I've shared with you some of the pictures of what I eat and all the local produce, and I just have so much fun. Our cupboard is busting with vegetables. So that is picked. Those vegetables that I'm getting, they're picked that morning or the night before, and they have so much flavor and so much nutrition. And when you're having 9 to 13 servings of a large variety, that's a little bit different than in the fall and in the winter and in the spring. Then I definitely top it up when we have these anemic looking vegetables that taste like nothing, and they're like $4 to $5 a pound. Then I bring in a lot more nutrition. And another thing too, it really depends on, are you a high achiever? So some of you might find this video and you don't have chronic disease. Maybe it's a family member that has chronic disease. But if you're a go, go, go person, you do want to be bringing back nutrition in, because you're burning it off quicker. So whether you're dealing with infections or you're just a high achiever, it's anti-aging. It really is. Optimizing nutrition, so you have enough nutrition for your body to run optimally. Hello, Chris. What kind of success have I had with primary progressive MS students? So some of my students do have primary progressive, and the one I can think of is Marie Grace. And she was sick all her life. She had probably 12 surgeries at least. She had cancer, she had Bell's palsy, she had Lyme disease, progressive multiple sclerosis for, I think, about 20 years. I'm just kind of going off of memory here. Her husband had MS. She was in such bad shape. I love that lady. She is a fighter. And so she went to work. She took the Live Disease-Free Academy. And in 3 months, she was virtually symptom-free. Not everybody implements that quickly. And that's okay. You implement at your own pace. Some people just go full in and they just do, like Sheila, who I just interviewed today. She's somebody that, she didn't give me a lot of questions and I didn't hear a lot from her, but I just would get periodic, I'm doing well, I'm doing great, and just sharing what she's passing, the parasites and what she's doing. And so with Marie Grace, at the end of 3 months, she was almost symptom-free. By 5 months, she was running her first 5K ever. Can I promise those results? No. But what I can say is that when you treat the cause, which is infection, the disease will stop. You will not have any more progression of the disease. And people work their way off their medications because the disease is no more, it's not progressing anymore. And you will have a lot of recovery. So things like brain fog go away, and the memory issues go away, and the mood changes. You become happy. You have no more depression or anxiety. Energy comes back. With mobility, what we're seeing is that spasticity very often, if not most often, will go away. Spasticity will go away, which is that tightness of our calves and our legs and our drop foot very often resolves too then. And then also the balance can come back. So there is so much recovery, and then the strength in the legs can come back. So the nice thing is that because I should say, standard of care does not understand the true cause of MS, but we do, because as I'm going to share with you next week, it is going to be graphic. So if you have a weak stomach, you may not want to watch it, but you need to see what's growing inside you. You need to understand why you feel so miserable. Because when you see these 6-inch, 8-inch, 1-foot parasites that the students are passing and how good they feel after, these big worms, they carry their own bacteria, they carry their own parasites, they carry their own heavy metals. They're constantly depositing that, and the other poisons like ammonia and amphetamines. So they mess with your cognitive function and your mood and your energy and your mobility. So those are the big ones that we see. But what about the tiny little nematodes that Dr. Alan McDonald has been finding in every single spinal fluid and of patients that have died of MS? Those little nematodes, they can cause a lot of damage to our nerves and our central nervous system, but also in our gut, because remember that our intestines, it's like a freeway of neurons that connect from our intestines up into our brain. So what goes on in the gut is really the biggest part of the problem, and that's what we focus on there. But the exciting thing is, like with Sheila that I interviewed today, her MRIs have, like, one of the lesions, I think it's in her spinal fluid, has disappeared, and then some of the others have just healed over. Like all of them have healed over. That's what she said, and she's sending me copies of her MRI. I have no idea how to read them. I've read lots of other results, but it's exciting. So we are going to start collecting meaningful data because we really want change to come. And I'm going to a conference in this fall, a big integrative conference, and I'm really hoping to share a lot of our findings because that's a great platform for me to share with a lot of other hero doctors. All right. So let me see. Hello, Veronica. I need an update from your daughter to see how she's doing. Please send me an email. And Chris. So yes, Chris, if you're dealing with primary progressive multiple sclerosis, there is huge hope for you. The sooner you treat those infections, the more recovery you will have. That's the bottom line with all of us. So I'm going to carry on with the last few questions here, but if you're somebody that you're like, I am so sick of living like this. We had one student join us today, and she shared, you know, I've been on this journey for so long, and I am so sick and tired of living like this, and I want my life back. She's a brand new student today. And she is so excited because just think about this. By Christmas this time, your life will be completely different if you implement. If you don't implement, nothing will change. But I can give you the step-by-step plan of how all of these students are recovering. And if you want to find out more about what is the step-by-step plan, I have this beautiful free training. It's called How to Recover from Multiple Sclerosis Naturally. This is what I've used. This is what our students are using, the Wellness Champions, to recover. So watch that masterclass training. If you are ready to make the changes, you do have to invest in your health, whether you work with me or a doctor or an integrative doctor. You have to, it does cost money, but if you're ready, reach out to me. You can start right away. This other Wellness Champion, she started today, and by Christmas, I know I talked to her, and she's a very good, I can tell, she's a very good implementer. So she's gonna have a life-changing experience by Christmas. And then just think, 2019 is going to be a whole new lease on life. So you guys can all have that too if you haven't. So watch my masterclass training. It will be posted in this feed. All right, so hello, Rami. You were diagnosed in 1985. That is awful. I'm sorry you've had to live with it that long. It's time to make things change. So Chantel, hello. Okay, I think I'll just check to see. Thank you so much, Misty, for sharing this video. So please, you guys, if you know people that are dealing with MS or any chronic disease, right? It's all the same principles. And I just want to thank you for all the love too, because I'm looking at my computer and I can't see your beautiful faces, but it's so nice for me to see the thumbs up and the hearts. I really do appreciate it, because that's why I do this. All right, I'll see if there's any last questions. So Ramona, you're going to watch the replay of this probably. No, oh, I'm so sorry if your uncle passed away. That's horrible. And that's the thing too, is that we need to treat these infections because life happens. Things happen with our relationships. Things happen with our finances. Things happen with deaths in the family. And when we're carrying this load of infection with us, then we find that all of these stresses really cause us to have another attack, right? And really take us down. So when you treat the infections, and you can handle the ups and the downs of life. Hello. So Elvira, hello Pam. Hi Michelle. Why is caffeine bad? You mentioned that earlier. So with respect to caffeine, let's backtrack for a minute. So when we have these infections, they produce a lot of poisons, and we have a lot of cortisol in our body very often, and our adrenals can become fatigued. And the caffeine, it really revs us up, like the adrenals, etc. So, and think about it, if you've got these really big parasitic worms, this is just something I thought of. If you have this 1-foot parasitic worm and you get a buzz from coffee, just think what those worms are doing with the caffeine. So that's another reason. But the biggest reason is that we just find people are sensitive to caffeine when they have autoimmune disease for whatever reason. Number one, I believe that a lot of us have weakened adrenals. We do not need to be forcing our, this forcement of energy with our adrenals when they're exhausted already. Just go as natural as you can. So we do avoid all caffeine, all of it, until we're well, even from green tea. And hello, I think, so Debbie N, oh my gosh, Pam, how do we kill these large worms? It's making me ill just thinking of what's inside of me. So this is a really big challenge, and I'll have to be addressing this on a different call. But basically, you can go to the health food store and you can buy herbs, like anti-parasitic herbs. And there are a couple of my students that have passed worms with that, but honestly, most of them don't. Like, we don't see it. You have to use a combination of things. So sometimes it's herbs with oxygen therapy, sometimes it's herbs and pharmaceuticals and oxygen therapies, but we're getting really good at it, and the students are really passing a lot. And it really shows, like when I get these pictures, like like I said, between Friday and Tuesday, I had 4 students share these disgusting pictures, which I love because it makes me know that they're gonna get better. And it's not just the worms. So remember that there are little parasites that those tiny little nematodes that Dr. Alan McDonald found, they can be causing just as much grief, if not more, than the big ones. So we need to get rid of them all. And another big thing that we don't know about or don't consider is that these microbes produce biofilms. And biofilms are like this slimy coating where they hide under. So if you take herbs, you might start feeling a little better because it's kind of catching the ones that are out in the open. But as soon as you stop, they come back out. And whether you're taking drugs or herbs. So the key is that we're treating the infections, but we're releasing this biofilm too, so that we're not going to be reinfected as easily. It takes months. So for example, with Sheila, she's symptom-free. She's still working on her bladder a little bit, but otherwise the MS symptoms are gone. She said, I can run now, and her MRI lesions have healed over. But she knows that with what she's been passing, we know that a lot of these, as I mentioned before, a lot of these worms and bigger parasites have a 12-month cycle at least. So you want to be, following. You need to work with someone. Let's put it that way, Debbie. So you need to find somebody, whether you work with us, whether you work with an integrative doctor. I personally say, learn this yourself. You can go really far. You can do a lot. It's a lot more cost effective. And yes, there are times when we do use our integrative healthcare providers, but they will appreciate you so much more because you're implementing so many things. And then whatever they recommend, if they're trained and understand infections, you're going to heal so much faster. And they love that because that's what they want. They don't want somebody to keep coming back. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. They want you to get well and they want your life back. So important. So Celia, oh my goodness, my bladder has returned to normal. Yay, congratulations, way to go. That means that that is what's causing our bladder issues, is the infection. So keep working at it, Celia. So Anita, you still have spasticity in your legs. That is because you need to treat infections more successfully, more effectively. That's why you have the spasticity. So there is no eating plan in this world that is going to treat those infections well enough. There is no exercise. You have to use the eating plan and exercise, what you can do, but a lot of other things, and then you have to treat the infections, and then you will get better. So you have spasticity in your jaw, and the CBD and THC, so the CBD with no THC helps. That could be true, Catherine, but why not get rid of the infection? So we know that, for example, with Sheila, the one I was talking to today, one of the steps is that we have to make sure to get rid of amalgam fillings and deal with root canals and deal with dental infections. Some of them we don't even know. I've had a lot of students that didn't know they had a dental infection. They got it fixed, and it hugely improves their recovery. So instead of living with those infections in your jawbone or in your, let's say you've had wisdom teeth removed and you've got pockets of infection, or maybe you have a root canal, or maybe you're dealing with other dental infections you don't know of, instead of carrying those and managing your symptoms, treat the cause. You're going to have a much greater quality of life. All right. Can you start recovering when you're on, really strong drugs? Yes, you can. Absolutely. I never tell people to come off their medications. I'm not a healthcare provider. So what you do is you start implementing all the steps. And then as you start feeling better, then you work with your doctor and you come off your medications. Absolutely. So make sure to watch my masterclass training, How to Recover from Multiple Sclerosis Naturally. Allison. And Debbie, I know you think you're following the plan, but you're not following the plan because you're not one of my students. You're kind of following your own version, and that's why you're not doing very well. So if you want to recover, it's so hard to figure this out yourself. It really is. I'm being really honest. So just reach out to us, right? But you can't say you're 7 weeks on the plan because I don't know anything about you. You're not following the plan at all, but you're trying. It's good to start to change your eating plan. It's good to start to watch all my videos, implement what you can, but you've got to follow the plan really well. It's your life. It's a really big deal. So Patty, you've been on the eating plan for 6 weeks. You ordered the support packs. You lost 18 pounds. You feel so much better. That is so amazing. Thank you for sharing, Patty. Make sure though that you are treating the infection. So make sure to follow all the steps. Does chlorella, Deborah's asking, does chlorella work the same way as activated charcoal? Oh, I forgot about chlorella. So that is one of the supplements that I really do recommend too. So the chlorella is really good because it binds heavy metals. It loves mercury, and mercury is a very big part of the heavy metal toxicity we're all dealing with, but especially neurological diseases. So it loves different heavy metals, but especially mercury. It also will bind to different biotoxins, especially the mycotoxins from the different types of fungi that can be making us sick. So you could take it with food for sure, but if you take it a little bit before lunch or before meals, like about 30 minutes before, then it's present in your stomach when you're going to start releasing bile. And sometimes we have toxins in our bile. And what we do is we take it then, and it helps to soak up the toxins that would be present in our bile. And I got that little pointer from Dr. Klinghardt. So yes, if you're taking all kinds of different things and you have a hard time with scheduling, you could do it with your meals. Make sure it's broken cell wall, right, or cracked cell wall that you're getting. And make sure that when you're looking at a supplement, look at the back, read the other ingredients, that there's no fillers or binders, and that it's just chlorella. All right, and that would be great. Thank you for reminding me. Hello, Patricia. Biotin and vitamin D. So in the dead of winter, where I live, it's cloudy all the time. And then it's beneficial to take vitamin D3. But honestly, if you want to know how much or do you really need it, you would have a blood test done to see where your level is. But in the winter, I just assume because we have this inversion where the clouds kind of sit over it. So it keeps it milder here, but it's cloudy a lot. Then we would want to incorporate vitamin D3. But in the summer, when there's sunshine, your best source of vitamin D is from the sun. So if you can get 30 minutes to 40 minutes or 2 30-minute stints throughout the day, not in the heat of the day, because I know for a lot of you the heat is difficult, but honestly try to go as cost effective and as natural as possible. So get the sunshine when you can, and if you have to, then rely on the vitamin D3. And as far as the biotin, you can, that's one of the B vitamins, but honestly, again, it's not treating the cause. So I personally would not take large amounts of biotin because it's not, you might get a tiny bit of symptom help because that's why they've been recommending it, but it's managing symptoms and not managing the cause. And then you're just spending a bunch of money and it will be synthetic. So what is the point, right? Should I take the herb neem for fungus? I'm convinced that you have fungal infection. So Debbie, you can try different things. You should work with somebody though. With neem, I know that it is very helpful it's an antimicrobial agent for killing different types of microbes, parasites included. But the problem is you're just kind of guessing, right? You really need to work with somebody. They look at your symptoms. So what we do is we've got all kinds of checklists. So there's specific symptoms for fungus. There's specific symptoms for Lyme, Borrelia, Babesia, Bartonella, Ehrlichia. There's very specific symptoms for parasites. And if you're loaded with parasites and you're trying to kill fungus, it's just not going to work very well because the parasites are bigger. They keep your immune system suppressed. So you need strategy. You can't just be throwing, you can try, but you're going to find that it's not really working. And with neem, you have to be careful because it's pretty strong. You don't take it for long periods of time, for sure. So you got to know what you're doing. You got to work with somebody. If you really want to recover, this is, like I said, it's your life. It's not just something minor. So Anita, what about lion's mane? So lion's mane, I personally don't recommend it. It is a type of fungus, and it's not the type of fungus that's causing infection in your body, but when your body is loaded with fungus, I don't want to add a fungal supplement because the fungus that's living in you, when you're digesting the lion's mane, it could actually benefit from the building blocks. And again, it's not treating the infections. So there are so many supplements that we've been, like, oh my gosh, I should buy this. You buy it and you try it and it's like, oh, didn't notice a difference. Oh my gosh, what about this one? I've been on this journey for 29 years. I've probably tried most things. I haven't tried that because I stay away from fungal products because I know the history of fungus in me. That is a big part, plus parasites, etc. And so I don't take that. I don't see the benefit in that. And there's some of my students have used it in the past before they started working with me, and they honestly haven't noticed a life-changing experience. So save your money, that's what I would say. Debbie, what vitamin brand whole earth and sea. So those ones would probably be synthetic, I'm sure. Read the back. If you want to really learn, join the academy, or that way you're going to be able to read the label yourself. But remember to look on the back, and if you notice that it has names behind the vitamin A, C, E that are all big, you know, like synthetic names, chemical names that you can't pronounce very well, that would be synthetic. I'm pretty sure that one is synthetic. So I mentioned you can find plant sourced on my website, Debbie, livediseasefree.com, or you can also just get My Kind, the multivitamin. That's the only other one that I would know that is plant sourced. And so that's by Garden of Life, but there's all their others are synthetic. And I personally like Manitech better because it has glyconutrients and there's less fillers in it. So what are my feelings on taking alpha lipoic acid? So this is one of the many different supplements that are recommended with functional medicine. If you're working with a healthcare provider and they recommend all these different supplements, you can take them. They're not going to hurt you. But honestly, what I say to people when they meet me is like, how long have you taken them? And they're like, oh, I've been taking them for about a year. Have you noticed a difference? No, I haven't really noticed a difference. And then I just say, I personally wouldn't take them then. So I like to just keep it simple and keep it cost effective. You know, if you are just bringing in basic plant source nutrition and you're getting rid of the cause, then you're not going to need to be supporting your mitochondria and all of that other, because what's making our mitochondria suffer are the infections. And I love Dr. Klinghardt because he said this too, you know, keeping it simple, dealing with the root cause, not treating, like, yes, sometimes we have to support symptoms. Like if you're not sleeping, we got to make sure you're sleeping. If you're not having bowel movements, you got to have bowel movements, right? So those kind of things are important for sure. But then it comes to this, like, do we really need 10 to 15 different supplements? No, most often no. So if you take it and you find that it helps you, then go ahead and take it. But most people say, I haven't really noticed a difference. And then I personally wouldn't take it. You're so welcome. And I wouldn't do any juice, Carol. So Terra Kaya juice, organic super fruit and veggie blend. So there again, look on the back of the label and you'll notice how many grams of sugar. And it doesn't matter where the sugar comes from. If it comes from fruit juice or fruit or from cookies, those infections love the sugar. All right, so don't feed. That will feed the infections and that will make you sicker, quicker. So you know that olive oil is not a supplement, but if it's infused olive oil, yeah, it should be fine if it has a herb in it. Try to get organic and cold pressed, extra virgin, right? Those are the best ones. And probiotics, I mentioned that already on the call, Ruth, as far as probiotics. You know, if you're taking the Garden of Life, Ruth, and it doesn't, like, if you're just getting better, because I know you just joined, so if you're getting better and better and better, you can continue to take it. But if you're not moving forward at the pace you want, then I would put it to the side for now. Because, like, maybe take a look at it and see if it has prebiotics in it. But if you find that it doesn't bother you, that you're take it or leave it, it doesn't bother you, it's just probably not going to really be helpful because it is, you'll learn in the program that they're not real human strains, they're more strains that are grown in labs, they're called transient strains, so they don't really live in our gut. All right, so 96 comments. I'm going to let you guys go because we've been together for just about an hour. Next week, if you can stomach it, join us because I'm going to be sharing what is growing inside of people that suffer with multiple sclerosis. And these will be really fresh. So I shared maybe a month ago or so, or 6 weeks at least, of a few pictures of what was probably maybe 2 months ago I shared. But it's really important. We've got to get this, right? We've got to understand why you feel so sick, and we've got to expect that we have to treat these infections more aggressively than we are. Thank you so much for all the love. If you're at the place where you're sick and tired of living with this disease, if you're ready to go to work, if you're ready to end this year on an amazing note, a life-changing note so that you can have 2019 to yourself, this next year coming up, please watch my masterclass training, reach out to me, you can get started right away. All right, and with that, please share this video with others. And thank you so much for all the loves and all the likes. And I will see you in a week. Take care and bye-bye for now.